Okay, we live, baby. Oh, hold on. Are we live on here? No.
We are the champion.
Should we do our intro? Because this gonna be a little different, like the segment. No, let's go
Yeah,
in.
I feel like you should do your intro or whatever intro you want to do.
Hey, okay. What's up, y'all? Welcome to y'all first episode of Cup of Controversy. I am your host T.
And I am your host, Coco.
Yes, and y'all might notice I said cup of controversy instead of cup of conversation. Okay, we got a new segment. Clock that, clock that, clock that. We got a new segment for y'all that we're gonna just start adding randomly. We're gonna go live. I don't want to set no dates or nothing because this is bonus content, and who doesn't love bonus content? I
You
mean,
never know.
you got to love the bonus content. So, oh, hold on. I gotta turn off my light because it's supposed to be giving ambiance.
Ah,
Uh
okay.
huh. Uh huh.
I
Uh
didn't
huh.
get that. I didn't get the. I didn't get the
Uh
memo.
huh. I
Can
just,
I
I was
get a
like,
little
hold on.
promotion for the? Let me get my ambience right. Hold on. Wait
Get
a
your
minute.
ambience right, sister.
Oh, ah.
Get your ambience right. What's up, Facebook? This is our first time doing this segment. This is gonna be called Cup of Controversy. Coco gonna weigh in. This is really my segment. Coco gonna weigh in, when she feel like it and give her opinion. I feel like today was the perfect time for her to weigh in on this one because this is one, our first time doing this segment, and two, this is like part of our lives. This is how we live. Like this is tonight's conversation. What they going through is kind of like what we know. So
Hmm.
um, that's why I got my Facebook. You probably can't see it, but YouTube. If you're on YouTube, we're on YouTube live as well. So if y'all want to see both of us and the guests that we got coming on in just a few minutes, y'all go over to YouTube. But if you want to just see me, Facebook is cool. But anyways, this is gonna be Cup of Controversy.
I don't got the ambience. I thought I could get the ambience. I ain't got it, y'all. Can't find it.
You always keep you got stuff hanging up in the bag. You always got a little bag, at least a list saying you better go to five and below and get you some of them lights.
What is given? Okay.
You always got a little decoration in the bag. It be me that's too plain Jane. You know how I live. You know
Right.
how I live. Very simple. But so we wanted to just start off by discussing what's going on with tonight's conversation. If y'all don't know
Mhm.
that podcast or that show, look it up. But it's a very popular show. Very popular. And right now they're going through a bit of a breakup. The people that we usually like seeing on there, the people that started on there, aren't the same people that's on there anymore. So, Coco, my first question, like, just to like start it off, I want to ask you if you ever had any thoughts of breaking up or like, have you, or have that ever crossed your mind?
Most definitely.
Okay, tell the people
Yeah.
a little bit how you thought you was gonna navigate that or what that was gonna look like for you.
Um, I didn't know. I think it crossed my mind, but I could never come up with a way to do it that I didn't feel like it would just mess up the whole thing. So because it's either it is gonna be a couple conversation with Coco and T, or it ain't. It ain't. So it ain't like it. I feel like certain groups sometimes they be having like three, four people in a group. Like if one drop out, it's not as bad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But I mean, it could be bad, but it ain't as bad as like the main two people and one drop out. It's only it go from two people to one person. Like it's like a
yeah,
big difference. So
it's more
I don't know.
noticeable.
I never, I thought about it, but I was like, dang, how could I do it to where it wouldn't like leave her hanging? Like like
Hmm.
um. Without having, I feel like I didn't think not leave you hanging in the sense because I felt like too, like okay, she could just do the podcast. Like she the one who wanted to do it from the jump. Like she'll just keep going. But then
Hmm.
I knew that it would come with like we'll have to change our name. Like for instance, like other people, they probably wouldn't have had to change their name because name was not embedded in the people. You get what I'm saying? They
Yeah, who
name.
they are.
Yeah, and so I was like, dang, should have to change the name, probably have to rebrand again. And so I
Hmm.
was like, dang, let me just figure this out. Like, let me see how we can get this to work. But I think when I wanted to change, when I wanted to get out, I felt like I wanted to get out because I didn't want to be in business with. nobody but my husband. Like I feel like that
Yeah,
was always my rule. Like I don't go in business with friends. I don't go in business with other people.
you said that.
And I felt like I was like, no, this is not what I wanted to get into, especially because I didn't go into the podcast really wanting the business out of it. Like
Yeah,
I didn't I was like, this gonna be fun, like we gonna have fun and that's
like a
it. But
hobby.
like yeah, like a hobby. Like and so when it started to be that, I was just like, and then when the differences came, I was kind of like, yeah, this is why I don't do this. This is exactly why I
Mm-hmm.
don't do this.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, I just didn't know how to do it to where, and I guess that's the part of me that I'm just like I don't like making people as much as it been done to me. I don't like doing people like that. Like I don't like doing
Yeah,
people like to where it's like, damn, you started something like you just gonna leave this person hanging type of thing. Like I don't like doing that, so I could just never bring myself to be like, hey, I ain't doing this no more.
yeah,
Especially when I knew it wasn't really no way to not be a couple conversation. Like, I mean, it could
yeah.
still be a couple conversation. It would never be a couple conversation with Coco and T if I leave. Like, it might
Exactly.
be a couple conversation with T, but that ain't what people signed up for. So I was
Yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah. And that's exactly like that was my mindset too. Because I know we didn't both thought about it. Because we didn't had our ups and downs. Like we both said, we didn't think about the operations of it when we came in.
hmm
So like
right,
we didn't had our ups and downs. And somebody in the comments was like, "That's kind of like B Simone and her friend." And I noticed that too. I was like, once we both started like seeing that content, and we was just like, that's right around the time where it was getting rocky. And I know you were
hmm
seeing the Megan Ashley content, and I was just like, yeah, I guess it could work. But I was like, at the same time, I thought exactly what you thought. We're gonna have to rebrand. We're gonna have to. I'm gonna have to come with a whole new name. Um, I got the equipment and stuff. Like, luckily, I went and bought a camera because I would have been fucked on that. Like, it was.
right,
It
right,
was just a lot. It would have been a whole lot at once. And I was like, really asking God to tell me what it was, what it is. Like, work it. Is it worth working now? Like, or is it time to do I need that push to go and do whatever I need to be doing? Like,
hmm
so it was always rocky. Like thinking about just how it would look and what differences we would have had to make and if you wanted to still keep going or not. Like it was just so many questions and me trying to answer them for you without just talking to you about it. Like it was too much. It was too much on my little mental.
yeah. I know for sure that if it would have been like if we wouldn't have done the podcast, it just would have been like I'm not doing a podcast at all. Like it wouldn't have been like for me. It wouldn't have been like kind of. I'm like you mentioned Megan and B Simone. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
both of them, they might have went into it with like they really wanted to have a podcast, and that's podcast is what they wanted to do, whether it was
Right.
together or apart. With me, on the other hand, I was kind of like I'm just not gonna do it. Like it was fun while it lasted, and that's good. I'm good on the podcast. Like I wouldn't have tried to start up. And now I don't know. I ain't gonna lie and say like, oh, I never would have did that, but because you never know where you're gonna be in life. But I
Right.
didn't have intentions on like leaving and starting something by myself. Like it
Yeah,
was
yeah,
just like,
yeah.
oh, okay, well that was fun.
Yeah, I was thinking that. I thought I'm like Coco ain't gonna start home, but y'all, we got our guests waiting in the lobby, so we're gonna let them in, and we're gonna come up. We're gonna go into the topic with tonight's conversation, and then ask them some personal questions because our guests are other podcasters, and they have had similar situations. So
Hmm
we're gonna talk to them and let them tell y'all. So let me add them to the chat. Like I said, Facebook. If y'all not on um if y'all want to see the guests, y'all gonna have to watch us on YouTube.
Period. Show me
Hey
how to do
y'all, I know
that.
that's right.
Wait
I
a
know
minute.
that's right.
Send me the logo.
I didn't know you could do
What's
it.
up, y'all? How y'all doing?
Yeah. Dennis
What's up?
always know
What's up? I was just
everything.
gonna say,
Nah,
Dennis is probably
hey,
still
I
probably
be
playing with stuff.
listen. I be figuring it out as I go. I had some time to wait, so I was like,
He
all
in
right,
the
cool. Let me
lobby
figure this
waiting
out.
and messing with stuff. But what's up, y'all? So
What's going
chat,
on? What's going? Y'all can hear me?
yeah.
Yep, we can hear
I ain't,
you.
I ain't
We
coming on
can't see
camera.
you.
Yeah, I'm not coming. I was in the bed sleep. Well, yeah,
You told me you
y'all,
was gonna be up by this time, so I just knew you was gonna be there
y'all
first.
almost missed me. That one text from Dennis was like, "You up?" I'm like, "Now I am."
Hey,
Oh
hey,
yeah,
hey, a you
you
up
sound
text
like Coco.
is completely different with your podcast partner.
You sound like Coco. Coco be girl. I was asleep.
What? I
Exactly.
got
Girl,
I gotta
girl,
be
my
to work
phone was
at
dead.
11. I be having to get
Mm.
my rest. I still
Man.
11
work a regular
p.m.
job. 11 p.m.
Oh
Ooh.
Lord. Okay, y'all. So we ain't gonna keep y'all long. I got two
Nah, y'all
questions I
good.
want to
Y'all good.
ask. Oh, first of all, introduce yourself to our audience.
Just Us Pod, one half of Just Us Pod. I am
Yep.
Fabian.
Just a podcast.
Uh huh. Uh huh.
Hey, put
Okay.
your name on everything, man. I gotta keep
Yeah.
teaching this boy stuff, man. Put your name before Trump
And
send
my name
you
ain't on
back.
there?
No, I'm saying like say your name
Nah.
before Trump send you back. Make sure people know your name, bro.
This dude goes too far every time.
Always.
You
Always.
you done? You done?
I'm done. I'm sorry. Just Us Pod. Just Us
Okay.
Pod.
Yeah,
Definitely.
just
Just
as
as
pod,
pod. Y'all
just
follow
being
him
the
on
other side of the podcast, man.
So we were talking about tonight's conversation and their breakup and separation. So it's really a lot going on the internet with them, and we really only getting one side. Well, we're getting a little bit of Randy's side too, but we really only getting Keita's side. I don't think like Ace or anybody else is gonna speak on it just because of legal
It's
issues and things
happening
like
tonight.
that. Yeah.
He did
Um.
drop. He did drop a statement. Did y'all see the statement?
Oh, he did. I've been
No.
looking for something from him all day.
Yeah, he basically came out like just go to tonight's conversations
Yeah.
Instagram and
Coco,
look at
put
the
up for us,
story.
please.
Y'all can read the statement real quick. He basically was like, "Yeah, all that shit false.
Oh
yeah,
wow.
Of course.
y'all lying on my name and my brand right now. You know
See,
me. Hey, I clocks the T. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm up in the
I've been looking
business.
something for him all day. Every time I type it in, only Keita pop up,
Oh no,
and
he didn't
he
win
in one
live
little live with
twice.
her and Randy.
He didn't
Oh,
win live
really?
twice
Yeah.
too.
Oh, that's what I don't catch. I don't never catch the live.
Alpha, you big messy.
Yeah, hey, I got to see
Fave
what
got the
happened.
talk that tea, Fave. I know
I
that's
got
right.
the notification bells on. You hear me?
I know that's
Okay,
right.
okay. Well, T,
Okay,
pull it up. I can't pull it up.
so I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find it. So with that being said, the way they are going about it, like with social media and the back and forth, being that y'all did start off as three and now y'all a two-man podcast.
Four.
Oh yeah, y'all did start. So y'all have had to
Yeah,
drop
we
a member
started off as
twice.
a four.
Yep, yep.
Has it ever got messy, social media wise?
Nah, nah.
No.
Not
Okay.
social media wise.
Nah,
No,
nah.
nah.
Okay. That's good. That's good. Um, my second question was, how did y'all go about addressing y'all audience like with it? Like, did y'all make a statement? Like, did y'all not talk about it at all?
Um, I think during in one situation we made a brief statement, and the other one we just kept it rolling.
Okay.
Um,
I wouldn't even say a
I
brief
mean, and yeah,
statement.
it was a yeah. I mean, it wasn't. You talking about the first one, right?
Yeah,
Faith?
we just kept
That's
the
what I'm talking
party.
about.
We
Like the
just
first
kept
one
the.
was a what?
Y'all kept it rolling.
I mean, it was a keep
Yeah,
the party rolling. Like even when people were asked, it's like, yeah, that's not for us to answer. Like
yeah. I mean, exactly. And my answer is always the same, right? Like when somebody that was a part of the show had uh let's say other priorities or a different life or just needed to
Hmm.
go and tend to what they had going on, I mean, we wasn't gonna hold nobody to the fire and be like, oh nah, you can't leave. I
Right.
She
think
signed up for.
really early on, me and Faith had that conversation of this is what we want to do. And as
Oh,
long as
so
me and
this
him
was
understood that,
always so it was always you and Fave original idea,
not
and
per
y'all
se.
kind of
No. Okay. Let's just go through it briefly. You
yeah.
wanna do it, Dennis, or you wanna?
no, no, go ahead.
Okay, so of course I've always had some sort of social media presence, and it's not because it was something that I was just trying to get into or just trying to do. I'm just goofy as hell. 2020, we was in the house. TikTok came out. I was just the one doing the TikToks. Facebook, I'm one of what you call a Facebook comedian. I
Right.
never really grounded it and tried to do anything as far as monetary wise or tried to build a platform. I just organically was being Fabian and my platforms grew that way. And Dennis he just was like, "Hey, bro, you got something. Shit is turning. Like you need to do something." He was like, "Bro, you should do a podcast." Initially, he was telling me I needed to do the podcast, and then I was like, "Hey, you motherfuckers gonna do it with me? Fuck it. If I'm gonna do a podcast, y'all doing it with
Yeah.
me. Come on, let's do it."
Yeah.
And that's literally
And at the
how it
time,
started.
like right, like I was just a fan of podcasts in general. So me understanding the personality that Fave had, I was like, okay, like you could really do this. And my part of the podcast originally was going to be all production, right?
Okay.
I just want to be the one messing with the audio, messing with the video, like figuring it out, throwing topics out from behind camera, stuff like
Yeah.
that. And Fave is kind of the one that was like, nah, because some of these conversations that we're having, they only go in depth because of both of us. It's not just it's not one sided, right?
Right.
So it was like, nah, if we gonna do this, you gonna be on the camera too.
Mm.
Right.
Because
And Ken,
if you, I mean, anybody that know me like knows I wasn't that type of person. I didn't want to be on camera. I ain't even like taking pictures.
yeah,
I ain't gonna lie to you.
I
Like,
kind of forced him into this lifestyle. But hey, it's worked so
yeah,
far. It's been good
oh
so
yeah, for
far.
sure.
And Ken, hey, look, Ken has always been our boy. He been around just as long as I've been around,
Yeah,
even longer with Dennis. You know what I'm saying? And he was
yeah,
around when these conversations was happening, and it
Mm-hmm.
was like he was the calm between the storm. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
Ken,
Okay.
hmm,
he was like a fresh breath, a breath of fresh air. Like he was just cool. He was
yeah,
just chill.
Yeah.
And that's how he came. He was like, "Yeah, I do that shit. I don't care." That's exactly how y'all saw Ken on camera.
yep,
Is exactly how he accepted coming to the party. He's like, "Yeah, fuck it, I'll do it." You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like
all right,
type shit. So
Yeah.
yeah,
and I had the idea. And I'm like, man, we have to have an advocate for the women. Like that was
yeah,
off rip. I'm like, we went through a couple different women of and finding that mic for a woman, and Mel came about. Mel is one of Ken's best friends.
Okay.
hmm,
I've been knew Mel um through Facebook, social media, stuff like that.
Right.
And
Right.
Right.
when he said her name, I was like, hell yeah. Like we went through ask Dennis, like we went through a lot of women, like we went through a lot of names.
yep.
We was really trying to narrow this thing down. And as soon as he said her name, I was like, fucking right. She has the look, she's
And mind you,
intelligent as hell.
I don't know who this is at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I just knew of her. I never had even
Mhm.
met her in real life, but I knew she was a smart girl. She was beautiful. She had swag. She had everything I was looking for, right?
Right.
And she brought everything I imagined. She brought it to
Yeah,
the podcast. Literally everything.
Mhm.
She's Mel was the first person to go viral from the podcast.
yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, like
She
she's a
was
dope.
she was very well spoken. She was witty. She could stand toe to toe with us and our jokes,
Telling you,
Mm-hmm.
like
and
she had it all. She
it
had it
was a
all.
good match. Yeah,
Yeah, the four panel Justice Pod was a good thing. I thought it was gonna be really really good, but just like with anything, you go into things excited about the idea of it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Everybody was excited about the idea of what the podcast would be. I knew like because of my platforms already. Like I know how hard it is to keep getting up doing this shit. It's
Yeah.
tough. And Dennis found out early on because, like he said, he was the production guy. He was the guy getting there first. He was the guy setting up all of the cameras. He was the
Right.
guy trying to see what
hmm,
the setup needs to look like, or what angles we need to shoot from, what a camera needs to be, how to set up the
yep,
mics. So early on, we both understood how much work went into this podcast thing. And then we had two individuals that came and was just coming to be on a podcast, which is fine. People have their roles. There's nothing
yeah,
wrong with it. I'm not saying anything is wrong
Yeah.
with it. But when it's that, and then you decide to, well, I'm not gonna do this one. I'm not gonna do this one. Now you letting us know late. Like little things pile up, little things begin to happen. So conversations started to have, and y'all know me. My tongue is never weary of talking about what needs to be talked about.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
bring it to
This
like we. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I get that. I feel like it's kind of hard not to feel that way when you putting in so much work, and it ain't really like it's almost kind of like being in a relationship. You're not like checking somebody to be doing as much as you do. I ain't gonna do nothing unless you do something. I ain't gonna move
Right.
unless you move. But it's almost kind of like inevitable to be like, okay, I'm all right for 2 weeks. I've been the one doing all of the editing or
Uh,
the da 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 da. Like it get like that, and you
Yeah.
gotta kind of say something because if not, you'll hold like a secret like type of resentment towards that person
right,
without wanting to, but it's kind of like, dang, it look like you living good and you ain't got too much to worry about. Then all the weight is on one person. Like it will get to the point to where you got to speak up and be like, hey, all right, look,
But you know what, Coco, you're absolutely right. You're
Yeah,
not
and
wrong
I
about
think that
anything that you just said. Go ahead, Dennis.
no, what I was going to say is I think that every podcast starts off as this is something that you want to do. I'm going
yeah,
to say
mhm,
majority of the time, right? This is something that I want to do. It's a hobby and so on. And I think that if you continue to think that you can progress in this lane as treating this as a hobby is where you realize you just going to keep this as a hobby, right? So there's always a moment, there's always a shift in a podcast or in a conversation where you understand that shit, like this is gonna go, like this is gonna go somewhere. This is gonna be something. And
mhm,
if everybody that's a part of the show at that point doesn't have the mindset of, all right, now it's time to grind, now it's time to treat this as a job versus a hobby, then those are when you start having those feelings of, oh,
yeah.
I'm doing more work than this person's not pulling their weight, and so on and so on. So I think that just advice to people that are going to start a podcast, right? Man, talk about business first. Who's going to be doing what? Who's responsible to do what? What is your job in this
Yeah.
podcast? And if it's just to show up and shoot, like show up and talk, then that's fine. But understand that that's your lane. So if it's like right now between me and Fave, it's 50-50 at this point,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like there's things that Fave brings to the show, there's things that I bring to the show, but it is the true 50-50 partnership. If
Right.
somebody else is going to come on board and all their responsibility is to, of course, promote on their pages or whatever,
Yeah.
but really to just talk, I mean, bro, you don't, the split ain't going to be 33%. You get what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? It's not going to be a third, a third, a third. It's
Yeah.
going to be bust down, in a different way. Not to
mhm.
mention, yes, we started this podcast, right? So it's like, I think that if you have those conversations about business, if you have those conversations about responsibilities, the moment that it becomes more than just a hobby, it gets a little bit easier for everybody to accept.
It's crazy
And
you
And
said that because it took us a year into our whole podcast before we start asking each other, so what can you bring to the podcast and what is your roles? Like, what do you feel like you could handle? What's too much for
Mhm.
you? What you can't get out on time? What you can do in a good time, period time frame? Like, it took us a year to start asking each other that. And I'm just like, damn, we did not think this through. Like you said, like a lot of people just want to get on here and talk
I ain't gonna
mics,
lie. I
just get.
wanted this to be this. This was like we just talking about it before y'all came on, but I ain't gonna lie. Like this was really like a hobby for me. Like my mind, see, like we, like y'all probably know our little story. Like when we met, I was already in business, so anything outside of what was priority to me, and which was that, was like really just extra. Like, oh, I'm just doing this. I'm just, it's a hobby to me. Like it's just fun. Like it's something T wanted to do and I was cool with it because I was like, okay, I always wanted to do this too. So like, yeah, let's do it. But like really low key, like I still be thinking like, how can I be business in this and then still have my time, because I don't like the work of this podcast. I don't want it
Yeah.
to be, if I was really honest, like I want, if my role is to edit for Instagram or do this X, Y, and Z for Instagram, like I want to delegate my role. If I gotta pay for it out of my own pocket, I want to
Mhm.
delegate that to somebody, because I feel like it takes away from the fun of it that it was for me personally. Like,
Yeah.
because I wasn't looking to get into something that was like, okay, now I gotta see, instead of on Friday when I get out of work, instead of Netflixing and chilling, like okay, I gotta edit this stuff because Monday gonna roll around, like the podcast coming out Thursday. Like it, when I start thinking about all that, I be like, man, I don't want to do this shit no more. Like
yeah, it
I
started to
just want to
be
go sit
And
on the
that's what I
couch.
get.
it
Like
started to be an extension of your work. That's why. That's how.
Yeah.
That's what you felt like.
yes,
Yeah.
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 yes.
Coming
And,
home
So
from
you,
a computer screen and getting in front of another computer screen to me was
yeah.
wild. I feel the
hmm
same
See,
way, even though the podcast was my idea. Like, we have to get a team at this point.
See,
Yeah.
that is what y'all are explaining is perfect because early on, we, like I said, and like Dennis was explaining, like Coco alluded to a little bit, we took on those responsibilities early on.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like we understood what the roles were. We didn't. There was no cloudy or murky water. Mel did
Hmm.
help out in the beginning with some editing, but there
Mm.
was nothing never unclear. The whole
Yeah.
thing was the commitment.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That was our biggest issue with the 4-person panel was the commitment. Everyone already knew what the work, how the work was gonna get pushed out. I was gonna push out all of the work because that's what I did. Like
Mhm.
I solely had all the passwords and all of that. Like the platforms we have 13,500 followers on TikTok. That's Fabian.
Mm.
We got 20,000 followers on Facebook. Fabian.
Mhm.
5,000 followers on Instagram. Fabian.
Mhm.
Nobody other than me has ever posted on any of our platforms other than me on any platform. But
Yep.
we made that clear from day zero.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
because nobody else was a social media person.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't even think Mel still has social media right now. Ken, y'all know Ken never was a social media person. Hell,
Yeah.
I had to damn near beg Ken to share the reels that was ours, like of him talking. Like, but
Yeah.
we knew the people that they were. We knew the people that we were
Mhm.
bringing onto the pod, and we were fine with that. But the commitment, if you're not even gonna commit wholly to
Yeah.
just showing up every time we shoot, now there's a different issue because we're already decommitting you from all of the other shit that's going
The
on.
work, the
Yeah.
other
You
work.
know what I mean? And what's good about it, I love that part of it. I just told y'all before we started. I'm clocking T. Notification bells are on. I'm on social media all day. Even when I'm
Right.
asleep, I'm dreaming about social media, bro. I don't know. I just be on social media. And Dennis has found a new love for this production shit. So that
Because
works. He
yeah.
cannot
So
wait.
in
Oh, go
in
ahead.
in the beginning, like Faye mentioned, like Mel edited the first what 18 episodes.
Yeah.
So when she left, it wasn't, oh, this is a planned leave. No, she left.
Yeah.
Who's gonna
Mm.
pick up that weight?
Right. So it's an
And
open
so
job
it
now.
was like, all right, cool, let me give it a shot. So
Nah,
I
I
think if you
told
go on to
I told
YouTube
that
and you
motherfucker,
go
hey,
look at
strap your boots up. You about to learn all this shit.
when you go to our YouTube and you look at like, I don't remember if it's episode 17, 18, or 19. There's not even a thumbnail on there. It's just a straight still shot of the episode because
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was doing. And then it was like, okay, as I start to figure it out, cool,
Yeah.
cool, cool. Now it's like, all right, I could do this. And then I had the issue with learning how to merge the audio straight to the camera from the mixer and thinking that that was easier. But then you understand that anytime that there's a short in the mixer, you're gonna hear bad audio. So
Mhm.
learning how to sync up the audio with the video, like all of that stuff
Mhm.
that you guys, yeah, and we've had this conversation, off camera, but all the stuff that you guys are going through and you guys are figuring out, literally, the way I had to look at it was, oh, my back is against the wall. If I don't make this work, this ain't gonna get done
Yeah.
because
Mhm.
now I don't want to add anybody else at that point,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
I don't want another, oh, this is gonna happen, and then this, they're not gonna have the same commitment that we do, and now we're gonna have to
Right.
continue to find somebody else. Nah, now cool. If anybody comes and goes, the show's gonna go on.
And
That's
the
what I
and the
wanted to ask
beauty and the
y'all.
beauty in everything he just said. I'm sorry, T, to cut
Go
you off
ahead.
just real quick. He's fell in love with that. Like, bro, soon he be dying to
Yeah.
finish so he can get home and look at it and edit it and see what he just did. Like he be
That's
dying to
me.
do that.
That's
And
me.
and if you don't have that kind of passion for what you're doing, you're not gonna want to do it no way.
So y'all, where my passion because I just be want to talk. I just be want to talk. I ain't gonna
And
lie.
That-
Like
that's
I
cool.
like the I like
we
the
that's why we working
conversation
on
of
that
it.
team.
you
Yeah.
you said it. You
And
said it already. Delegate it. You gonna get to a
Delegate
point
it.
where you
Yep.
gonna find somebody who can do that shit for you.
And
and I
Coco,
and I what I
your part is the aesthetic. You do the you
yes,
know what
I
your
that's what
your
I'm about
part
to
is more of
say.
a thought process than it is like a. a tangible thing. Like you,
Yeah, I like the creative direction of it all.
yeah,
Like me for instance, like me and T, we've been behind the scenes working on some stuff for this year, and like what I've come to find out is like, yeah, like I like the creative part of creating the content for social media. Because
yeah,
I was telling T that I want to get away from, not completely get away from it, but partially get away from our content on social media being our main content from the podcast. I want our social media content to be specifically
media,
social media content. Like,
yeah,
if that makes sense to y'all. Like, I don't want
Yeah.
it to be us pulling our episode from and breaking our episode up and
Yeah.
posting on social media. Like, I want us to do campaigns. I want us to do mini commercials. Like, I want us to do stuff like that for social media. Like, this is
Yeah.
for the TikTok, the Instagram, the Facebook, like that. Like, you, if y'all
hmm
make, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, that make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Actually, that ties into what we talking about with tonight's conversation because that's what Ace Metaphor do. Like that's his background, marketing. So everything that
yeah,
you talking
yeah.
about is marketing. That's how he grew tonight's conversation. He took someone like
Somebody
Keto
else's,
Rose
yeah,
or Trip Fontaine. He took all of their pixels from behind their social medias and the algorithms that they had already grown from their personal and added each one of them into one streamline, which became tonight's conversation,
yeah.
Right.
and it blew up quick. Like, okay, think about it. Do you even remember the first time you seen tonight's conversation? That shit just kind of just popped up on your
No, it was
timeline,
already
right?
viral by the time I seen it.
Exactly. That shit was already everywhere by
It
the
was
time you
already
seen it.
viral by the time I
Yeah,
seen
it
it.
was.
Everybody got the same notion about that podcast. Like, where did this come from? That's because
Yeah.
he's a fucking genius marketer.
Yeah. Now that
Mm-hmm.
much I did see when I was looking over it. I did see that like he was working with other podcast groups before, but he was doing all that marketing. He was the main one,
Yep.
like getting them on the map. They had he said Keita said that the live show originally came from them just doing the card game on camera,
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
and he was
Yeah,
marketing the
y'all
hell out that
remember
card game.
when they
I
first
remember that.
came out, they had the Instagram ads and they was just it was just two people sitting
Yep.
across from each other
Yeah,
and they
yeah.
would ask the question. So
And that's
yeah.
what they was playing that card game.
And
Like
what's
he was
crazy,
marketing that card game. He is a major marketer. Like
genius marketer.
amazing. So he definitely did that. But it's always those moments working for people because some people have like those people that are like so into their craft and so into what they're doing, they super good at it, but they have neglected like social skills
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
for the
Mm-hmm.
longest. So they don't know really
Or business skills,
Mm-hmm.
period.
that
Because I
too.
don't know what's the big deal. Why wasn't it contract? Like I would have thought that it would have been contracts in place. Like why is there so much controversy over like money and getting what you
But
owed
that
and like I just feel like black people always do business bootleg. Like even when they got contracts, like even when it's
there was contracts. They had contracts and they had but this was my take on it. This is what I put on TikTok, right? And I know it's
Mhm.
about money. All of the other stuff that they're outing, that's just smoke and mirrors. That's because somebody is mad and they want to tell that shit. A lot of shit go on
That's
behind the
build
scenes.
up to the emotions that got like built up to the money, basically.
Yeah,
All of those
yeah,
Exactly.
small
Like
stuff is what built up to the money.
when you get into making millions, because trust me, that podcast probably was making millions of dollars, if not hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. It
yeah,
was making a bunch of money, trust me. So
mm-hmm.
when you get into that realm and you're traveling city to city every night, you're seeing different people who falling in love with you. They were really social media stars.
yeah,
Yeah.
So shit's gonna happen behind the scenes. So that type of stuff, when I hear that, that's not what I'm listening for. My ear isn't popping for that. But when I hear Keita Rose say, um, he gave an advance on her behalf to a man she used to mess with. Wait a minute, red flag.
Wait,
Who?
what?
Exactly. That's what she said. She said he gave an advance. That's why she didn't get paid for the last 2 or 3 shows. He gave an advance to a man she was messing with in the past. Hold on, Keita Rose. Now you messing me up. Cause the
yeah.
Keita
Cause
Rose, I know don't even play like that. You don't even put me in your business like that.
I was
And
just gonna say,
Ace,
how you give a whole nother person her
and Ace, even though he look like he's shady, he might be a little shady. I don't think bro crazy enough to even play like. I know for a fact if Dennis comes to T, right, we doing a live show together, and T got my check, and Dennis come to you and say, "Hey, Fave said give me his, the check." Yeah, I 100% stand behind that. T gonna say, okay, cool, hold on. Let me hit Fave though.
Yep.
Cause this Fave money, and I know how Fave is.
Cause once it leave my hand, cause I'm gonna be once
Yeah.
it leave my hand,
I'm definitely
I ain't
Exactly.
gonna
got nothing to
ask you
do with
first
it.
though. I feel
Right.
like
Exactly.
yeah, this might be believable, but let me ask first.
Exactly. Cause Ace, bro, I'm pretty sure Ace don't want to do. Look what he dealing with now after she
And we
left.
ain't talking about no $100 checks, y'all.
No,
We
we
ain't
ain't
talking
talking.
about no.
We probably
Exactly.
at minimum we
I
might
think
be
what
talking
when
about between both 2 or 3 checks. At minimum, we probably be talking about between 30 and 50K.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna
She
say.
probably was getting between
when
10 and 15,000 a show.
so when you look at like how many people are a part of this show,
Mm-hmm.
Staples,
right? And I'm
state.
not
Oh,
talking.
that wasn't a question. That
I'm
was in
not
general.
even.
My bad. My bad.
Yeah, yeah. What I'm saying is like I'm not even talking about just the people on camera, right? All the team that it
The
takes
whole
to
thing.
for the
Yeah.
Yeah.
production, the
Yep.
booking the hotels, all
Yep.
all their stuff, right? Because they were doing it in like hotel lobbies and stuff, right?
Yep. Yep.
Like
Mm-hmm.
imagine being the quote unquote founder of it or whoever, like the one of the OGs of it that has more of the business in their pocket than anybody else. You're still responsible to pay all these people, right?
Yep.
So the more and more people that are so like involved in this, I feel like, especially when you have the stars, bro, there's so many different personalities that you have to try to balance if you're
It
the one
is.
cutting the check. If
Yeah.
everything's flowing through you, you have to balance all of that. So there's gonna be a day where Fave is mad, where T is mad, where Coco's
Yep.
mad, and they're gonna feel like, well, man, when we went to fucking Dallas and did that live show, I was the one who brought everybody out. Like, bro, like that's
Mhm.
all gonna happen.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
But
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 none of that
business
really
is
matter though
business.
when it's
Because what's
beat.
on
Yeah, I
paper
about to
is
say
what's on
none.
paper.
I was just
What you
gonna
right.
say
signed
that
is what you
contract
agreed to.
though.
I was just
Yeah,
about to say.
Yeah.
I think it became time for contracts again, and the hierarchy had
Yeah.
changed.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. The
I,
renegotiation should have been happening
yeah. I think.
around the time where they felt like things were getting too big and that they still were getting paid like
from
they
the
weren't
beginning pay.
that big.
Yeah.
Yeah, beginner level. Like,
Over 4 years, I'm sure that wasn't like no longevity contract. They probably was doing year-to-year contracts or
yeah.
either like 6 month contracts. I'm sure, but I know it's about money, 100% about money. But the
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
hierarchy had
Yeah.
changed so much. Trip Fontaine had become the face and the voice
The
of
star.
tonight.
Yeah.
Like he was, so I'm sure his price was astronomical. His price, his show and his price per night
Yes,
probably
yesterday's
was.
price is not today's price.
Hey, after year 2, year 3 and 4, Trip Fontaine's price probably was crazy. He was literally probably on every ad. He
And
was
you really
literally
can't get mad at that. Like,
no, no, no. You
that's like
definitely can't be
saying,
mad at
like,
that.
in your job, you mad somebody got a promotion because they done did X, Y, and Z. Like, bro, that's just, it's a numbers game. It's whatever you bring in to the table.
Yep.
Like, and
Yeah.
everybody know that. And I just think the contracts needed to be renegotiated because all that bringing up what people do, if they're a horrible person, they might be a horrible person. They might be
I feel like
dating
at
or
the end
fucking
of the
with the
day,
employees. But what's on that paper? What
What's
that
on that?
contract
What's
say?
on that
yeah,
bill?
and then
What?
at the end of the day, like all it took for the money to mess up for you to say this because you knew this before
Yep.
the money messed up.
Exactly. That's what I'm
You
saying.
you been you
Like,
So
been seeing all of this. You been
yeah, you
seeing all of
been
this.
exactly.
yeah, the money just now it's in your mind. So now you like, okay, now let me talk about X William. Oh, but y'all ain't know that, but you knew all of that was happening and you was still sitting on the stage.
You was
So let's
comfortable.
not act
Right.
Yeah.
like
That's
that's the reason you leaving and that's
yep.
why you
You was
you know
sitting
what
on
I'm
that
saying?
stage because the money was coming, and I
Exactly.
wholeheartedly believe it was time for them to renegotiate. And they started throwing their numbers at Ace, and Ace was like, "Oh, whoa, hey, yeah, we making bread, but yo, y'all wildin'." And
Right.
Right.
I'm sure Trip probably hit that boy with a 50 piece per show. Cause at this point, Trip don't got no more advice to give nobody. He really regurgitate. He
Trip
probably didn't
tired.
say all the relationship advice he could possibly muster up out of his brain. He probably
Yeah.
can't even say nothing else. He didn't say it all. He probably was like, bro, I need a 50 ball every night. Wherever we go, I need a 50 ball. And Ace probably was like, what's the risk? And then people start leaving, and he was like, damn, I should have, if I'd have paid Trip,
Yep.
everybody else would have been good. That's probably what he thinking right now. But you
Hmm.
didn't pay him, and now Trip probably was leaving, and Keita was like, "Oh, he got my time to shine. Let me get a little bit more." Hey,
But
Trip
you know
gone.
how people be like you
And
just said, here go my time to shine. When people get a whiff for something else somebody doing, like
Yep,
they
yep.
try to put, especially in today's age and time, everybody always want to put their price on it. My price is my price. You don't even really know what you're worth, babe. You don't know what the metrics is that you bring it to. It's like I said, it's a numbers game. You don't really know. Like I know you're trying to name something, but you don't really know. And people be
And
shooting for the
and
stars with their prices.
and like she said, he
we uh,
wouldn't even give them the metrics. Like he wouldn't even give them
yeah.
what they were like, what each name was driving to that podcast.
And
And
you
he
know what I would have
knows.
did if he didn't give me the metrics? Next contract, it would have said
Yep.
I need the metrics in that mother. Like,
See,
what are you talking
when
about?
everything new and
And
money like that new
what's
to you.
crazy is like, go ahead, Faye.
Nah, go ahead, go ahead. You good. My bad.
No, what I was gonna say is like when you saying like knowing your worth, like we ran into that, right?
Hmm.
We
Yep.
don't know what the hell we doing
Yep.
Yeah.
when it comes to hey, we
Hey,
are
hey, hey,
willing to
hey,
pay
hey,
you
hey, hey,
for
hey, hey,
this,
hey,
this, and
hey, hey,
this.
hey, hey.
I'm
Slow down.
just hey,
Hey,
I'm
hey.
using this. I'm speaking in hypotheticals right now.
We know now.
So if somebody really come to,
We know now, goddamn.
but no, and that's what I'm getting at, right? So we were approached about something cool, and I think in the moment, me and Faye were looking at each other, and both of us are probably thinking two completely different numbers, right? But when it was, let's say, presented, it was, hey, and don't shoot yourself short.
Like literally
Like,
told that was literally told to us. They was like, hey,
bruh, like don't like you're worth
look
more
at
than what you thinking right now.
and they put it into a perspective where we was like, we would have never thought about that. She was like, think
Yeah.
about if she literally told us, and this is the person that was gonna pay us. She had our back,
Right.
black woman. Shout out to our black queens, man. For real, for real. She literally was like,
For sure.
but so I'm telling you, she literally was like, look at the whole scope of what you're gonna have to do. You're gonna have to
Mhm.
get a studio, you're gonna have to get time, you're gonna have to set up, you're gonna have to
You're
break
gonna have
down,
to edit. You're
you're
gonna
gonna
have to
have to
cut
edit,
clips. You're gonna
you're
have to
gonna have to,
promote.
and you're gonna have to do the promotion. You're gonna all of she was like, all of this, make them pay for it. And she was like, matter of fact, just Google what people get paid for what I'm asking y'all to do, and then get back with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I was on the freeway. I called in. I said, I hit that Martin. I said, woo, woo, woo. Woo, woo, woo.
I'm talking. We calling people that we know. Hey,
I'm like,
if
hey,
somebody
bro.
wanted to do this, like, what kind of price we looking at for this? And like, man, it
I was
was a
like,
headache
bro,
just thinking of the prices.
I was telling him, I was like, bro, are we supposed to tell her this number that we? And I swear to God, bro, we told her, and she was like, bet. Like that simple. I was like, nigga, we should have went double.
Yep. Yep.
I was like,
Hey, but just know
no,
now,
nigga,
anybody
no,
watching this,
nigga,
anybody watching this, we know our prices now.
no.
We know the
That's what
word
we
now.
know.
Bro, that
Nah,
shit
for
was
real. This all
Yeah.
new to us. So like truthfully, like even if somebody was to ask me and Coco for some stuff like that, and there's people been inquiring, like, but y'all know how people be saying they want to start a podcast now, don't be want to start no podcast.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
yeah, it be people inquiring, and I had to go Google a couple times, like, all right, if they just using this, what we gonna do, like. But it's a lot that come with it. I don't know if the people that's on the stage that are doing all this, I ain't gonna say complaining, but all this bashing really know the books of
Nah,
what, because that
and
Yeah.
man probably got loans. That
yep,
man probably paying, he probably got all kind of debt on his name, or I'm sure it's on the LLC. But
yeah.
it's falls back on him. He the one who put it all together.
Yeah.
Like, so I don't know if they, like you said, Dennis, he gonna be the one and have to pay for everybody whether this motherfucker make no money or
Yep.
not. So
That at the end of the day, the same way we were introduced to couple conversation. No, I'm sorry. Who were we introduced to first? What was the first name?
comment section.
Comment section.
The same way we were introduced to a comment section that turned couple conversation. The same way we were introduced to Easy on Me part. All of these part, the same way we started is the same way they started.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Everybody went in blind. He like if you go back and you go down that rabbit hole, you'll see when he began to hand pick who he wanted.
Yeah.
There was
Because it's all about who you can get it first. Who
a,
available?
a y'all
Who
know
pulling
y'all
up?
know TC the comedian straight out of
Uh-huh.
Houston.
I
He
seen it.
was he was on the panel first. He lost his Instagram page. Guess what Ace said? Ah, yeah, buddy.
Gotta get
You
somebody else.
you don't got that page no more. You can't bring no traction. I don't need you, my boy.
Mhm.
And look, because in the beginning, all you it's just like these college kids. All you have is your NIL. Name, image, and likeness, bro. What can you bring here to make this something so that I can pay you for what your name, your image, and your likeness brings?
Yeah,
That's what the whole world is based off of that. You bring what you have here, show me that it converts into money, and now I pay you dollars.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's a simple process.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It sound that way,
It sounds
but
it is really that simple, but
It's
once it
only
begins
difficult
to
when you
show
make it
itself,
difficult.
yeah, because now hey, they start making a bunch of money.
yeah, character
Like
shows itself when it comes to money, though.
Yep.
oh yeah, and then I say this all the time, man. That's why I didn't want our podcast to turn into a whole bunch of relationship stuff. I don't give a damn what it is. Just like the Jackson dude, just like Ace now being outed. Anytime there's a man on the internet that's telling women everything they want to hear all the time, anytime, morning, noon, and night, he's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, he not shit, bro. I, I, I promise you, 100 out of 100 times, if a nigga on, I had to stand up out the bed. If a nigga on the internet telling women what they want to hear all the time, like nigga, you don't never got nothing negative. I hate hoes sometimes. Oh, excuse my language.
Right.
I do not like women sometimes. You mean to tell me you always like? All right,
No,
all right.
I told T that same thing. I told
Yeah,
T, I said something ain't right about him. Something
No.
is not right about him. He give like I'm just gonna say whatever these women want to hear so I can keep getting this check.
That's
yeah,
it. Because women, think about it. There's way more women that has suffered to the hands of men emotionally than anything,
and that crowd be straight.
especially in our community. If you feed into that, oh my God, you'll be rich, bro. We could have been rich.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah,
can do. Hey, I'm a hey manipulation is I'm high on the list. Yeah, I'm high
don't
on the
tell
goddamn
nobody
list.
else now.
Don't tell nobody. Matter of fact, edit this out. I'm high. I'm up there. But I'm not gonna do that because I don't want to be one of these. Oh, look at
Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, that fat bright motherfucker. Yeah, he was lying this whole time. No, I don't want to. I
Hmm.
don't want to go through that
Not
shit.
only that, man. Like I think that people don't understand how much work that takes, bro. Like that shit can be exhausting. And then you got to keep up with your lies, man. Listen,
That
Not-
part. And then you gotta not keep up with your lives. You gotta make sure your actions match because somebody always waiting with a camera.
you damn near
Yes.
got to believe
Somebody
your own
always waiting with
your
a
own
tape
bullshit.
recorder.
Yeah.
Mm.
Somebody always waiting to catch you have over a
I mean,
phone
you can't have the
conversation.
pinch of a difference with a motherfucker because now it's time to expose. Now they putting everything out. Like,
Exactly. This man ain't who y'all he say he is, y'all. He be da.
oh shit, just pay attention to what's going on now. The minute he ain't cut that check, oh yeah, I got to tell everything.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you dealing with women. You telling
Exactly.
women all
But
of this, and then you gonna
I ain't never felt like that. I didn't always been like Faith, like you said at the beginning, like I've always been a social media person. Me and Coco talked a little bit before y'all came on about like us thinking about having our breakup times, like if we was gonna separate, what it would look like.
yeah, I thought
Even
it
back in
got
the day,
dark.
I did the
I
Twitter
thought it was
stuff.
over for y'all. I did. I ain't gonna lie. I thought it was.
We
When?
came close a couple times, but we, just
Yeah.
prolonged it on that.
No,
Yeah,
really, we really did. Like I had already kind of sat down. I was like, all right, it'll probably just be couple come. It'll
That's
be
me. I'm
tea,
in this bitch. I wrote it.
hot tea. You
Hey,
know,
hey,
like
I hit
what
my
would
boy Dennis. I said, dog, should we talk to our girls? Like, what's going on? He was like, hey, we just gotta see what
Yeah.
happened, my boy. I was like, you right, bro. We ain't gonna get in there. We gonna see what happened. Then we'll talk later. But yeah, it did look grim. You could tell all on camera, y'all was like, it was for a minute there, it was kind of like,
We
bitch,
had some
let's get it
things to
over
get
with.
together because
exactly,
that, like Coco said earlier, delegating those tasks because that creative light stops fucking sparking when you sit on that couch after it. Because if I didn't have to come up in here and set up. We gotta take pictures of the guests. We gotta make sure the
Yeah.
lighting right. We gotta do all this. By the time I get on the couch, I'm just like, yeah, whatever y'all say.
Yeah,
Hell
tell me
yeah.
about it.
Hell yeah.
But
Nah,
you
for
but you
real.
know what y'all, and I just have this unique thing about me. I don't know what it is. That's my gift. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I love. I be amped up for that part.
Yeah, yeah. I like that too, but I just have to spark it back on. Like once the cameras get the I think Coco do that too. Like once we get the rolling, it's cool. But
Man, if I
sometimes it takes something to get up in there.
if I tell
Same
y'all
thing, especially for me.
we're on episode what 83, 82, something like that.
Yep, something like that.
Y'all would y'all
81.
believe 80
No,
if
82.
would y'all believe me if I said I've probably prepared for probably five guests. Probably, maybe.
What you mean? Like did they your research on them? Well,
Like
not really
Yeah.
like
research, but like
yeah, yeah.
got your notes together on them and
All of
stuff.
that notes, research, knew exactly who they were, all of that.
We don't do
See, we
we don't do
we
none of
we
it.
already said we be overthinking it. We got the women's side of it. We be in there like,
Man.
ooh,
But I think that that's the beauty of that's why me and Faith work because both of us know just how to hold a conversation in general. So it
mm-hmm,
might be a couple things that we saw on somebody's social media, like okay, I want to ask about that, or just knowing the person personally, like I want to ask about this.
mm-hmm.
Or
We understand how
just
to carry that
Yeah, yeah,
conversation, and
yeah.
then it's like,
yeah.
hey, it gets to the point that we can easily transition into what I wanted to talk about, cool. But if we miss it, we still gonna have a good conversation.
Right, right. Yeah.
And I think what a lot of podcasts, because I'm a podcast watcher, like I'm an avid podcast watcher. I'm on these podcast streets. So I be listening. And what I be noticing a lot, the hosts really don't be listening. They don't be listening to what they guests talking about or what they saying. Like not when I say listening, like really picking up what they putting down.
I get what you
Because
mean.
because that's all the information that you need.
Yeah.
They feeding you everything that they won't ask. Like they'll within whatever they talking about, they're gonna say what they want to talk about next or what they're
Yeah.
thinking about or what they're feeling. They gonna tell you. All you gotta do is listen to them.
Mm-hmm.
And the crazy thing is, go watch our episodes. If you watch our episodes, me for sure, I'm terrible at this. But if y'all see me looking up, my eyes just start going around like this. Like I'm genuinely thinking about what this person is saying, processing it through,
I
and
know
understanding like,
exactly what the face you talking
okay,
about because
Yep.
I
cool,
done seen it.
yeah. Like I ain't sitting there in la la land. Like I'm genuinely listening to the person.
That's
So
fact.
with all that being said, what we just talked about, I think it's very, very important. I think y'all have found that new life with y'all podcast. I think it's very important to find somebody that you enjoy doing that with. Outside of all the other stressful shit, right? The
Hmm.
And really
setting up.
just being transparent in the beginning about what y'all
Yep.
are capable of doing, what y'all are willing to be doing,
Yep.
because that's probably
Is it
not
a
a
hobby? Is
conversation
it a
that they had
business?
at the beginning.
And you never know if you can or can't do something if you don't never try. So
Yeah.
I always see the conversations about, should somebody do this, should somebody do this? Hell, we didn't know we should do it.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
nobody ever knows if you can do whatever, bro. You just have to try. You
Mm-hmm.
won't and you all you gonna say is, no, that shit ain't working for me. I'm good on that.
Yeah.
Hey,
And like for us, right? We started with four people on the podcast, no guests. We lost a co-host. We started inviting people onto the show just openly, right? That's how, we got you guys to come on. We since then we have done a digital campaign or a local campaign, if you will, like with local politicians on.
Mm-hmm.
We shot a music video. We have started to do we did
side hustles, like all kind
side
like,
missions, right?
Yeah.
So the side missions are food reviews, are turkey drives, going live.
Mm-hmm.
Like y'all should have seen when we did the turkey drive, right? Like I literally have my phone here, the Osmo here, the Rode mic here, the DJI mic there, and we just figuring all of this out as we go. And I
yeah.
think that in order for us to continue to progress, we have to be willing to do those things and take those chances.
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. The two man team we will prevail.
Yeah.
We on the two man
Oh yeah,
ticket now.
y'all found that new life. You know what I'm saying? Tonight's
Yeah,
conversation gonna have to find some new life. He's
yeah.
gonna the problem gonna come in finding talent as good as what he had. He
Hmm.
Yeah.
ain't.
People always gonna
But the
compare it
truth
to the
is
old.
that it's out there though. It's not
Oh
gonna be
yeah,
hard
it's
to
out
find
there
it.
for sure,
Yeah.
It's
for
new
sure.
faces every day. It's
Yeah, for
new
sure.
it's people that was upcoming just like it was like they were.
Yeah, yeah,
Keita, all them, they wasn't nobody does until really they I mean not I ain't gonna say nobody's, but they were not who they are today to us
yeah.
before
You right.
that. So,
For that,
it's
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, you might get picked up. You and Dan might get picked up,
Yeah, for sure.
Hey,
You
I was
never
gonna
know.
say, I think they need to start tapping into their Hispanic demo and just holler at me. You know, I got you.
No, really, like I don't think that's too far fetched to find people that know how to,
Yeah.
like you say, hold a conversation. Like,
But
Yeah.
I think he's gonna have to migrate away from so much relationship shit. Like that
Yeah.
has to, like the scope of the conversation. It can still be tonight's conversation. There's a lot of conversations to be had. Everything don't have to be relationship based. I feel like they go to every city and answer the same questions or talk about the same things.
Well, that's because them dumb ass people go up there and ask the same thing. Like,
I
Yeah, because
mean,
everybody going through the same shit in every
y'all
yeah,
different
don't.
city.
Do y'all even
because
watch the
but the other part,
shows? Do y'all even like? Y'all
the
done
other
bought
part
a
of that
whole
is
ticket
like,
and
if
came
it
up
ain't
here
broke,
and
don't
asked the
fix it
same
though.
thing 700
that's
people.
what I was about to say. Then I don't know, Fave. I feel like he in a niche. He didn't niche all the way down, and it's I don't. I feel like that's what people want to hear too, though. Like at the same time, people like, okay, we done heard you say this over and over. That's what people want to hear. Like that's what people
You
want to
right?
talk about.
Hey, y'all
That's what
Yeah.
I'm
right.
saying. Them
Hey,
ladies at the
it's
conversation.
still it's still selling. So y'all right about that. I can't fight that. If
Yeah.
it's still
Now,
selling shit, I'm gonna
what
sell
what's
you a
what's the
ticket.
long eh, but what's the longevity of it? And is this going to be the moment that if the thing actually broke, let's say, then all right, like yeah, I agree. Like change it up.
Oh yeah,
One,
it's
figure out the business side for sure, because
Mm-hmm.
whether it's bad business or not, there's a gap. There's a
oh
gap somewhere in
Yeah,
there that you can
I'm not
tighten.
gonna
their
lie,
pivot, their
it's
pivot is
broke
gonna
like
have to be
hell.
really strong. Whatever they
Yeah,
do
Mm.
next,
yeah.
it's gonna
They
have
gonna
to be like something that blow us out the water. Like none of us could
Hmm.
think of. Like, oh, that was a topic we all needed to talk about. It's gonna have to be something
Yeah.
because
but
everybody
Ben,
gonna
I
scrutinize.
don't think so, y'all.
I
listen,
do. I
I
do
this
because
is
think
they
this
got a
is
core.
it's
I
gonna be
think they got a
50-50.
core base.
I'm with you and Dennis a little bit, Coco. It's gonna be 50-50
people
because
are they how soon we forget,
yeah,
especially our people. Like our people, they just waiting on the mess. They really gonna tune in to see who is the replacement, and
yeah,
then by then you hooked on what they talking about again. Like I feel like we forget about stuff so quick. Like mess is like
yeah.
it's over by dinner time. Like okay,
I ain't gonna lie though. That boy Derek Jackson, he's still underwater.
I was just finna say, if
That
it
Mm.
boy
ain't
so
good,
10
it
feet
ain't
deep.
gonna be good.
That
but
boy
that's
10
because
feet
of the
deep.
allegations that he had against him, though. Are these the same allegations? Is it just mess? Like you, like Keita giving
Nah,
it
they
just
say
mess?
bro was fucking on everything.
Oh, well, that's not allegations like beating a woman, like what people got to cancel you for. And even with that,
But
people we
but
cancel
but
people
but
all the
in his
time.
space though, Coco, in the space that he talking about, fucking on every woman that's coming through, and you telling
But
women,
Shit,
really,
he been
Fave,
a
like you
single man
said,
on the stage the whole time.
but
but
the nigga
Fave,
had
like
a
you said,
woman.
who didn't know that? Who did not know that he was doing it?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I can tell. I know. I can look at a nigga and look at me.
And people were still listening. Like
Hmm
I look dead at the nigga eyes and say,
Look,
yeah, nigga,
when you're right, you're right.
Mm.
you got some
When you're right,
Fabian
you're
in you,
right.
nigga. I know you, and you got a bunch of money too. Yeah, nigga, you got some
yeah, like
Fabian.
it
You
gave
got some
Bitches
like I
might
Fabian
would
in
go
be
you.
up
on.
here for the communicate. I'd be up here for the conversation, like for real. Like
Hey, as beautiful as a mind that Trip Fontaine has, Trip Fontaine be fucking them hoes too. He
yeah,
ain't fooling me.
he ain't
Man,
fooling me.
But you know
man,
what's
that,
crazy is
that
Trip.
nigga be
I
putting that
watched
poetic dick on them hoes. I'm sorry. Go ahead. What you said?
I
He be
watched
going
Trip
in
on an
depth
episode by
with them
himself on his
conversations.
podcast. It really ain't hit.
Who?
So it has to be put together.
Who you talking about? T?
Trip. Like I watched him on a show that he did by himself, and then I was just
Because
like, "This is
you know why?
very,
You know why
very
it
bad."
didn't hit? Because the energy from the crowd. That's where he find. That's where his gift is from. His gift
Yeah,
is getting that energy from the crowd and those questions, and knowing how to curate an answer that you cannot be.
Let me
His answers can't be defeated.
wait. Let me say this too, though. I feel like the reason it might didn't hit is because some of the reasons that we talked about with our show, as far as how we come across to certain audiences,
Mm-hmm.
that audience that he's in front of for tonight conversation is not the audience that he is
Yeah.
genuinely who he to himself he
Yeah.
is. It's
Yeah.
almost
Yeah.
like if I was to go on tonight's conversation, like I might say some stuff and they might be like, "Oh, okay," or da da da. But me by myself is not gonna hit because I'm really walking in that. But what I'm talking about on stage, they like to hear that and it sound good. But when you go home, you're gonna still sleep with that man. You still gonna do this. You still
Hmm.
living that different life.
Mm-hmm.
So to listen to me outside of that environment, you don't want to hear that for real in real life. You get what I'm saying? You don't want
Yeah.
to. You get what I'm saying? Like that ain't what you want to hear. Basically, I
Yeah,
feel
for
like
sure.
that's a part of it too.
100%. For shit show. Yeah, he go. But his mind is so beautiful, bro. Like the dude really is
Yeah,
Yeah.
knowledgeable. Like
You
he's a
got to give
poet.
credit what credit is due.
Yeah,
yeah.
he's a poet. He's an advocate reader. Like he gonna be cool. Like
See,
Yeah.
all
and
that
then
stuff it sound boring to somebody that's not on that level yet. You get what I'm
yeah,
saying?
I
So
yeah.
agree.
like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
or
yeah,
But
you
yeah.
know,
his people gonna find him. It's gonna be a bunch of people
right?
who
Uh-huh.
got real flowers in their living room and shit like
Yeah.
that. And, yeah,
Like the girl with B Simone, like the people that was listening to her with B Simone, a lot of them people, some of them went, but she had to find a whole new lane,
Whole
really.
new audience.
You get
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
oh,
Because
B
it started
Simone and that
coming.
girl not on the podcast together no more.
No,
Nuh-uh.
Damn, I ain't clocked that T.
They
Everybody
been broke
podcast.
up.
they been broke up.
Damn.
She got her own podcast. They both got their own podcast, but she been having her own podcast since the breakup. Like she might have
I
was off
seen B
like 1 week.
Simone had went viral a couple of times recently, but she always going viral for the wrong shit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He be
That's
going
why they
viral
ain't
for
together no more.
she be going viral for the wrong. I think the last time she said some wild shit. What?
She
Yeah.
say she
B
working on
Simone be
herself.
tripping,
My girl
dog.
say she working on herself.
Man, I be wanting to like her. And like she be getting in a little space where it's like, okay, yeah, okay, I see you. And then it be like, oh
You know
shit.
why people can't like B Simone, because B Simone, her personality is attached to a dollar instead of the dollar being attached to her. I feel like she is very like, what do I need to say to get the money,
Yeah.
instead of
Mm.
I'm gonna be true to who I am. Whether you get what I'm saying, like I feel like she
Yeah.
she wish you actually 1 minute she real deep and like God is so good, and then 1 minute you doing this and that, because that's not your true self. So you trying to get attached to the whole
That's so
God
good,
thing, and
Yeah.
Coco. That's
then
so good.
Yeah.
I was just reading. I had bought this book. I was just reading, and it was talking about how you're never gonna get to the pinnacle of what you can be if you're a tale of two people. Like you,
that's
Yep.
you ain't
it.
you. It ain't gonna ever work. Like if it's two people within you, like if at home I'm this father, I'm this loving guy, I'm this home nurturer. If I'm this guy, then I go outside. I'm this player. I'm this bottle popper. I'm this bitch getter. It ain't gonna work. Like
Yeah.
who am I catering to? Like which
And that's
life
what
am
I
I?
felt.
Which
That's
life
what
is
I
true?
felt. I felt like that when we had our like Rocky Patch. I felt like that's like I cannot be on this couch like talking about, oh yeah, fucking dick. That's not really me for real. Like you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
and that's
I
why I
don't
was
think
like,
that
You
was our
sounded
Rocky Patch. I
uncomfortable
think that was
just
our rebrand.
mimicking that.
yeah, like yeah. You say what, T?
I said I don't think that was our Rocky Patch. I think that was our rebrand.
Well, yeah,
When we was
that too.
coming,
But
because we just jumped in this bitch thinking let's talk about whatever hot topics. Let's just go with what the people want us to talk about. If they want us to talk about this, we could talk about it. Like that was the comment section. That's why we
yeah,
had to get
that
some
too.
kind of
But I
stuff.
feel like too, some of it was the Rocky Patch for me, because I felt like I had to be a certain way in order for you to feel like I wasn't judging you. When whole time it wasn't that I was judging you, it was just that I ain't, I didn't get with a lot of stuff. Like you get what I'm saying?
Mm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
not so much of like I ain't want to be your friend, but I didn't know how to. I felt like the part of it was I didn't know how to be without making you feel like if I had an opinion about something that didn't match your opinion, it was me judging you.
That's
You
what
get what
we
I'm
was just
saying?
talking about. Just like we was talking about the other day when we was talking about you gotta have that agree to disagree on podcasts. Like
Yeah.
Yes.
you can't just say I agree to disagree and let it fall by
Oh,
the wayside. You still have to say your piece for the sake of conversation.
But I,
Like
Mm-hmm.
I, I think
yeah.
to me, when it's a contrast of styles, I think that makes for way better podcasting to
that's what
me.
I'm saying. Cause you have to say your piece. Like I gotta say my side. You gotta say your side. You don't cut back because you be like, nah, because what I gotta say might be too harsh or it might not match what she say. Like
Well, I don't
Yes.
think I cut back. I think I was very aggressive with it, but I felt like that was like looked at as like, okay, you can have your opinion, but goodness,
Yeah.
like,
As long as
I,
whatever opinions on any podcast, any two people, three, four people, it
mm-hmm.
ain't nothing shady. As long as it's genuine, damn opinions, I think that is good for podcasts. Like if
Yeah.
everybody's sitting around and everybody like, yeah, yeah to this, yeah, yeah to this, no, no
it
to
don't
that,
make
no, no to
sense.
that. Nigga, nigga, ain't no three people in one room the same. Shut up. I turn that shit off so quick. I turn that shit
Right?
off.
man,
Yeah. No, really.
when it was four of us, when it was four of us, and the
Arguments
conversation
every
started going
day.
that all of us feel the same way, I I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm sitting there. I could fully agree with them three, but I'm able
You
to at
gonna
least see
find a
things from
way.
the other perspective, right? So
Hmm.
I tell people this. Like my job as a manager is when my employee comes to me and pitches an idea, it's my responsibility to poke holes in his idea, just to
Yeah.
understand is there going to be a leak somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So if I can do that there, I don't care how much I agree with Fave if for the sake of this conversation, the viewers that we have, they're not going to agree with both of us. But if I can see it
Mhm.
from the other side, I'm gonna provide that perspective.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And
And
that's what
it's
I
a
used to
Yeah.
do
plus
a
that
lot.
you
I used
do.
to always say, like, I ain't just speaking on me, but it's people who think it's
Yeah,
people who think like that was
Right.
my thing back then. I'm like, nah, it's I know people who think like this. Like,
yeah,
so it's always you have to have the everybody has to have their piece. It ain't gotta be
Hmm.
disrespectful. It ain't gotta be like he said shady or nothing like that. But that's what they want to see.
Yeah,
That's what
Right.
the
yeah.
people want.
right.
I have a
Get the
question
people
for y'all
going.
though. The rebrand, y'all. I don't know if y'all have. Now y'all have it because I just looked. I was on y'all YouTube today. Um, have y'all found an identity? Have y'all found a course correction? Like, do y'all know where y'all, what kind of lane or what niche that y'all want to go down, or y'all kind of just gonna just fall back into it just with a broader and better perspective for each individual?
I feel like we have an idea of where we want to go now. I think that with anything, what we keep getting back to every time we talk about that in particular, we always go back to, even like for instance with the hot topics from coming from couple conversation, we used to talk about like hot trendy stuff that was happening on social media and stuff like that. Like we still want to be able to relate to people, but
Mm-hmm.
we want to be able to relate to people in figuring out what is the bigger picture in all of this. Yeah, X, Y, and Z did X, Y, and Z, but what is the root of this? Like, what is the
Mm.
main idea? And I think when you go deeper in the conversation, is what we want to have deeper conversations worth having. That's kind of where that was coined from. Like, what is it really talking about? What is it
Yeah,
talking
that's
about?
good.
Shame? Is it talking about the love of something? Is it talking about like even with the 50-50 conversation, like is it talking about the love of money? Is it talking about like what is the
Mhm.
deeper conversation that need to be had here outside of the surface level thing that's happening? So I think now our identity is lying into having them tough conversations, and let's okay, yeah, you said all this, but it sounds like this was really going on, like type of thing.
Mhm.
And
That's
so
good.
it's almost kind of like a therapy session, almost
Yeah,
like
Yeah.
really
See,
just
I
And to
would.
talking
piggyback
about
off of
it.
that, I think the same thing. I think the fact that we started becoming like solution based, we trying to like Coco used to say, but what's the solution? Like what are we trying to get out of this? Like that's where like digging deeper into them conversations came from and us really
Mhm.
just trying to understand more. And really when I started, I said I wanted to understand why people thought the way they thought. Like what was the perspective behind the 50-50 conversations, the
Mm.
women ain't the same as modern as old day conversation. Like, where are we getting this from? Like, where's this
Social
going?
And where is
media.
it leading to? Because on social media, a lot of conversations just fall at the wayside. Like,
Yeah,
okay, yeah, you feel like that, you feel like that, but like, okay, what do we get out of that? What do we
It,
yeah,
get? What do we
it's a
find out about ourselves? What do
it's a
we,
Right.
cycle of the whole. It's a cycle of the same thing. That's a whole nother conversation we can get into. But social media is really just a cycle of every from on Sunday everything reset.
yeah.
Then all the new gossip come out. We talk about that for 2 3 days. Then that's over with. Then we go back to 50-50. We go back to who gonna pay the rent. We go
Hmm.
back to it's just a cycle.
It's
And
always
then
the
and
same
then
thing.
somebody who famous do some other stupid shit. Then we talk about that again. And then we go back to when it's dead time. We go back to the 50-50 and
Mhm.
relationship and it's that shit. That's why the revelation came from us. Well, from me, but we all agree. Well, now it's just me and Dennis that our podcast is solely for the people, and
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's our brand now. Like this is for y'all. Like what's happening with you? That's why you're here. What's your story? What's going on? And that has worked so beautifully for us. Like it's amazing.
hmm,
Like
You talking
how
about
this
like the
thing.
guests?
Oh my god! It's when I tell you the feedback that we get after we have people on because if y'all
Just the
notice
last two
we
guests alone.
yeah if
Like,
y'all
oh
yeah it's
man.
crazy if y'all notice we never announce who we having on.
hmm.
We just pop out. So there's an element. The first thing is there's an element of surprise. Then you have their family, you have their friends, you have their whomever who looks at them as anything to them in their life and say, "Oh my gosh, he deserves to be telling whatever he's telling or what he's talking about."
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of what our purpose has become in our podcast. So and I love it. Like I love it. Like it's to the point where I damn near don't want to shoot if we don't have someone, who to tell their story.
Yeah, I like that. Everybody got
How do
their own
you?
needs.
How do you? Oh, well, we gotta wrap up, I guess.
No, you
Yeah.
good. Go ahead. You can say the
No,
last question.
I was just gonna say, how do you determine if that story is um
Yeah,
worth
yeah, I get.
telling? You
Yeah,
know what I'm
yeah, yeah.
saying? Is it worthy of being on the show? Because like everybody got a story. Like you know
Right,
what I'm saying?
right, and and
Everybody say they
and,
got a story.
and we
Mhm.
get a lot of goddamn people who want to come talk.
Yeah.
You
Right.
you gotta you gotta
So
decipher.
what
Go ahead, Dennis. Go ahead. Go ahead.
what I was gonna say is like I think that with a lot of the guests that we've had, we know on a personal level, right?
Okay.
Mhm.
So just kind of understanding the person, whether it's I know them or Fave knows them, like
Right.
Mhm.
it's just a little bit easier to vet through at that point. But when somebody comes to us, and because y'all know, like we open up the gate, like, hey, shoot us a DM if you want to come on the show. You got
Yeah.
something you want to talk about,
Mhm.
like bring it to us. But in that, I think that the beauty of me and Fave is understanding. Okay, here's what you just sent me. I'm reading it, and I might tell Fave within the first 3 lines, "Hey, bro, this is a waste of time." Or Fave might get something. He's gonna send it to me because he's not
Oh,
gonna
so
send it to
y'all
me.
have them write in about themselves?
We don't necessarily ask them to, but they might
But
just come to us and be like, "Hey, this is what I want to talk about." Like,
Oh,
because
okay,
okay.
well,
we've,
let's look
like
at it
I
real quick.
said, our platform has turned into that, right? So people are
Yeah.
watching and people see. So now they're like, "Hey, bro, I really want to come, tell
Talk
what
about
I've been
it.
going. I
Yeah.
want to talk about what I've
Mhm.
been through. What you know what I'm saying? So that's kind of what it's turned into. So they coming to us and saying they want to come on. So and to what Dennis was saying, there's a thin line and a fine line between people. And I don't want to get to this point. We're not trying to exploit people.
Okay. Okay.
We're trying to
Don't
give
come on
people
here trying to talk about your beef with your neighbor or something. Like, nah.
Yeah.
we're,
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
trying to
Yeah.
give people a platform because you never know what's like. We had someone on there tell us like before they came on, they were having suicidal thoughts. They had just lost a parent, all this type of stuff. Like you never know what someone is
Yeah. That
going
couch
through.
is therapy. That couch is
Yeah,
somewhat of a little
right.
therapy. Like,
So though that's what it's a fine line between exploitation and actually letting someone have a platform. So I don't want, I
Right.
don't want, because Dennis was like, yeah, we look at stories and like, nah, nigga, they ain't worth. It ain't that we can't get a view off of you. It's not that.
Right.
It's not
Mhm.
that. It's that. Okay, bro, you got robbed. Well, you were in the streets. You
Right.
feel what I'm saying? Like
Your
it's kind
actions
of
added up to that.
exact. It's kind of like that. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
if you didn't find out you was fucking an adopted child until you was 12, oh yeah, you need to come. Yeah, 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 yeah. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. It's a lot more. You don't even have to say nothing more. You see what I'm saying? You see the reaction y'all had when I
Yeah.
said that? That's kind of what it is. Like, oh yeah, it's a lot. It's I don't even at that point, you
There's
don't even
something
have
to
to
unpack
talk.
here.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, you don't even have to talk
Yeah.
at that point. We can be there for hours because I know you
Yeah.
got shit that you need to get off.
Exactly. No, for real.
Yeah.
You have so much shit that you need to get off your brain. And I swear to you, we never have enough time. Every guest was like, damn, bro,
It be like
I
that.
need to come
I
back.
wish, man, I gotta come back. I had some more shit I wanted to. And that's what we love. That's what we come to love. Like that's what our platform has become. And we enjoy it.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Final question. What is the moral of the story to the what's going on with the band coming together and breaking up? What would y'all give like the moral to the story?
You wanna go first, Dennis, or you want me to shoot it?
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
The moral of the story is be honest with yourself. Be
Okay.
honest with yourself about if you really want to get into whatever it is that you're getting into. Podcast, the job that you're gonna accept. A lot of people accept the job just because they need some money. Then
Yeah.
get to the job and be miserable as hell. Like anything in life that you're deciding to do, we're adults, bro. It's like we're fucking past grown. Like I don't give a damn how much you think about it, how much it depresses you. There's no going backwards. Whatever is behind you is always going to be behind you.
Yeah.
So it is only up to you to see what your destiny going to be. You have the key to whatever it is that you going to do. So
Fact.
you got to stand in that shit as a grown adult. Like you got to stand in whatever you decide to do. So the moral of the story is if you going to do it all the way or don't do it at all.
I like
Yeah.
that. I like that.
So very similar, right? Like if you gonna do something, like stand on that, but then also like make sure the business is good, right? So when we're talking
Yeah.
about this situation in particular, like make sure the business is good and everything is straight and as whoever's running the business is as transparent as they possibly can be because you don't want person A feeling like person B is winning, right? Like in the end, it's like, nah, this ain't a competition. Like we all making money at this point, and
Yeah.
everybody understands their part. So making sure that the business is in line more than anything. Because again, like y'all said, that's all it sounds like is bad business.
Yeah.
Whatever it was, like it just sounded like bad business.
Yeah. Coco,
And
what you on mute?
Sorry. Yeah, they kind of summed it up for me. Just making sure the main thing is the main thing. Like outside of, and
mhm.
I will say this too. A lot of times, even like speaking to me and T situation or situations that have happened that are similar, um knowing when your emotions are taking too much of a lead and it's not really that deep. I think with our situation, that's kind of where it was for me. Like even when I did think about like, okay, we might need to get separate, it was me letting my I was leading with my emotions, and I had to be mature enough to say, okay, take a step back. What's really the problem? Is it something that y'all can be talked about? Is it something that can be fixed? Because I mean, she ain't sleeping with your man, she ain't did nothing to your child. She like really what's tea? Like, not meaning like that, but what it is, like what's
But dude,
like what it is, and just not leading with your
Ba-doom.
emotions. And with the tonight's conversation stuff, I feel like Kita is leading with her emotions. I feel like
Yeah.
she needs to take a step back from social media and let whatever the business, because business can be situated. We can get a lawyer, we can go to court, we can mediate that. Like we don't even have to do none of the extra stuff. We can really mediate what's the real problem. So I think with not leading with your emotions and keeping the main thing. Like
Yeah.
if you wanted to start a podcast and you wanted to be on a podcast and you wanted to tell your truth, let that be the thing. Whether that's with Ace, whether that's not with Ace, whether that's with T, whether that's not with T. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Or whether that's not with Den or Ken or Melanie. What's her name? Melanie. What?
Randy.
Yeah.
Mel. I
Yeah,
don't know.
Mel.
Oh, you talking
Yeah.
about our old guest? Oh,
Yeah, like
Mel. Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
whoever,
yeah.
whoever in the world that it is, if keep the main thing, the main thing. The main thing was for this y'all to start a podcast. Whether they leave, whether they come, whether they contribute, whether they don't, like keep the main thing, and let's not lose focus of what was the main thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For me, the moral of the story is in any partnership, any business relationship, go in knowing what you offer, go in with a plan, go in Googling what goes into this, the precise goals, so everybody can know what they what their position is in the business, what they gonna get out of the business. Shit, if y'all got to write contracts, me and Coco been on Chat GPT getting contracts right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a contract for everything, equipment for whatever. Because just not setting up for no downfall or like they said, planning for your divorce. Um, but business is business.
Business is
Hmm.
business,
Yeah.
You
bro.
gotta have that paperwork right.
And like
Business is
Coco said, you can't have no emotions. You can't leave. Business is
yeah.
business, and when you understand that, hey, everything else will go according.
Hmm.
I love
Yeah.
it. Moral of the story is business is business. So
Business is business.
thank y'all for
Always a
joining us
pleasure.
tonight, y'all.
Always a pleasure with y'all too. We have some of the
Definitely,
best.
we do this.
Hey,
You
we
know what
be
I
having
mean?
some of the best
We do this.
conversations.
I
We
told
really
y'all to come
do.
on 15, 20 minutes. We done been on a
Yeah,
good
we
And we
hour.
are
sure
two
was.
hours.
Yeah. A whole hour. Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie, I'm gonna be toe up at work tonight, so I'm gonna cut y'all out tomorrow. But it's all
Yeah,
good.
Uh,
I'm gonna still pray about it.
I know
Please,
that's
because
yeah.
I'm
right.
about to get on the road and I'm about to be sleepy.
Ooh, where you about to
Coco, I know
drive
you
Oh
was
to?
ready to
man.
go. I seen Coco
Dallas.
over there.
Look, that's
Ooh.
why I can't. That's why my phone on mute. I'm hollering at her. Find your uniform. Hurry up.
Oh, she got a dance competition. Oh
Yes,
man.
Mm.
in
Oh
Fort
man.
Worth. Yes.
I remember them days. Woo, I'm so glad my baby 17 now. Oh Lord Jesus.
Lucky you.
Oh,
Ooh, okay.
child.
Man.
Ooh, girl, you just made me go back. Jesus Christ. All the
All right,
money.
y'all.
Ah man, good night. Ooh, I know y'all be spending that bank. Boy, that
Well,
dance
I
shit is
just left the
hell.
damn store buying tights, and you tights that I didn't bought 20 times before.
Got holes and shit in. Boy, I tell you.
Yeah, yeah. Why? What did you do?
All right, y'all.
So why? All right,
Appreciate
Bye.
y'all
y'all.
having
See
us,
All
y'all
right,
man.
next
Y'all be
for
time.
Bye
cool.
sure.
then. Bye, Faye.
Later.
Deuces.